Judge McAfee, judge presiding over Fani Willis in the Nathan Wade scandal, is now getting a challenger, and this has been reported by local Atlanta news. The guy's name is Robert Patillo. Looks just like this fellow right here, because that's him. And here's the story from the Atlanta Journal. We're going to take a look at it and then see a little bit more about who this guy is. Who is Robert Patillo, and what are some of his positions? Fani is out reacting after she entered her name back on the ballot, and Steve Sadow is responding to this new political layer that really exacerbates some of our political concerns about justice being done here in the first place. So this is the story, and this guy is a pretty credible candidate, it seems, someone who might actually win. The civil rights attorney is now emerging to challenge Scott McAfee. Here's the story by Tamar Hallerman and Greg Bluestein over at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. They tell us civil rights attorney, this guy Robert Patillo, he's also a talk radio host, so probably has a pretty big audience, probably a lot of energy there in Georgia, plans to run against Judge McAfee, who's been overseeing the Fani case. Now, Patillo plans to qualify as a candidate for the position today, according to multiple people familiar with the knowledge, but they declined to speak on the record. He's a former executive director of Rainbow Push Coalition, which we have a clip from, the social justice, and it's a civil rights group. Oh, guess who founded this one? Reverend Jesse Jackson. He's also a criminal defense attorney, cable news pundit, and a former candidate for State House who has previously billed himself as a conservative Democrat. Interesting. Now, McAfee, a former Fulton County and federal prosecutor, is running for a full 4-year term on the bench after being appointed by Governor Brian Kemp in late 2022. His platform includes clearing the backlog of COVID cases, right? And so think about this in terms of demographics and votes and how this went previously. We know that Georgia technically went blue last election, and Fulton County was a big reason for that. Of course, there were water main breaks there at 2 in the morning, but whatever. So we now have a conflict, right? We've got McAfee, who's appointed by a Republican in a blue county, and this other guy is a Democrat through and through. So even setting aside, for example, if we just set aside all the Trump stuff, right? Just forget it. Forget the Fani stuff, forget the Trump stuff. Let's just say it's a regular, normal election. Already, McAfee's at a disadvantage, right? He's already facing an uphill battle because this guy, you know, it sounds like very well known in the local area. Patillo, meanwhile, says he plans on promoting restorative justice. Yeah, because, you know, everything is broken and these people have the solution to fix it. We've seen how that works. Programs for juvenile offenders, clearing cases, reducing wait times, and so on. He does not initially appear to be challenging McAfee due to his work on the case. Yeah, right. Now, Patillo declined to comment on Wednesday. While it's not unusual for sitting judges to attract challengers, they almost always get reelected, but this is not a normal situation. Contests for Georgia are nonpartisan. Unlike partisan races, judicial contests are not on the ballot in November, okay? So they'll be actually on the ballot May 21st, the same date of the primary for partisan races for Congress and State House. Runoff would be in June. In late 2019, Patillo nominated himself for the Senate once someone retired. He says, broadly, we want the streets to work. We want clean water and clean air. McAfee, who previously led Georgia's Office of the Inspector General, has won high marks from many legal observers for his even-keeled handling of the Trump case, but some are upset that he initiated this whole evidentiary hearing against Fani. McAfee said he was fine with this. Reaching out, he was presiding over a murder trial on Wednesday, and McAfee, they asked him in court, they said, hey, are you worried about this? You have a challenger here. Are you concerned? He says, quote, whoever qualifies, McAfee, I look forward to making my case to the voters, proving my track record shows that I am the best candidate to provide Fulton County with efficient, unbiased, and nonpartisan application of the law. Beyond McAfee, the 2 other players in Fulton County racketeering case are also set to be on the ballot. Trump is the presumptive nominee. Willis is a Democrat. She could also face a challenge, something she acknowledged. We have a clip from her. At least one prominent lawyer responded to this, Steve Sadow, and we're going to see what he said on the X platform. So it is going to be interesting. And who is Robert Patillo? Our friend Viva, right next door. Viva Fry, of course, all over the place. You know who he is. He's also next door on Rumble and on YouTube and on Locals at vivabarneslaw.locals.com. But he grabbed this clip from us and he said, I sure hope Robert Patillo scrubbed his social media footprint of anything incriminating. Oh, wait, no, he hasn't. Here he is on RT, reveling in the Russiagate hoax, predicting that Maxine Waters would become Speaker of the House. All right, just to give you a little taste of his politics.
Legally, did you see a smoking gun anywhere in the 2,500 pages that were released today by the Judiciary Committee, and then also following up with the conclusion of the Senate Intel Committee, which is at odds from the House Intel Committee? Your thoughts?
Well, I think we saw in the 2,500 pages is that there's continuous smoke. Ted was just saying the Democrats need to stop talking about the investigation. The problem is every single day there's a new trickle of information, whether it's the Don Jr. testimony, whether it's Manafort, whether it's it's Flynn, whether it's entirely down the line of the people in the orbit of the president, that looks like they had more connections to the Russians than they initially disclosed. The problem is that when you lie about things, when you continuously make false statements that are easily proven to be false and then change the statement later, it erodes the trust of the American people. So this is not going away. This will be an issue in the midterms, and I guarantee you, Speaker of the House Maxine Waters will start impeachment proceedings immediately when she's sworn in February.
Speaker of the House,
I think he's
Maxine
serious.
Waters, you're breaking news here tonight, Robert. All right.
Look, I guarantee Speaker of the House Maxine Waters will wrap this up.
All right. Well, that's a stone's throw. There's no question about that.
Okay, so he is repeating and regurgitating a bunch of the Russia collusion hoax nonsense, which was all total nonsense. And I think he was being serious about Maxine Waters. I think she was the one who said, "Get in their faces." Remember that? She was screaming outside. Rah, rah. And we were going, that's interesting. I thought that almost sounds like insurrectionary language, okay? Because a lot of people on the right side have been prosecuted for a lot less, like posting memes and stuff. So very curious to hear that. Now, there was this other clip. Of course, we just learned that he was a leader of this coalition called the Rainbow Push Coalition. And we also know, by the way, that Fani Willis is on the record on this. She prefers black male judges, okay? And not black female judges, because they can be a little harsh. Black male judges, as long as they're not Republicans. And this came from her own training. And this was something that she told her other prosecutors that they needed to do so that they could get lower sentences, which is wild because she's a prosecutor and it's weird to hear her go out there and try to fight for lower sentences. But lo and behold, that's what, of course, she's doing there. And so Fani, prefers this caricature of a judge. And so she'll, of course, she likes the avatar of the, black male judge who's not a Republican. That's this guy. But also, apparently, he is viewing a lot of criminality as progress. So remember, back during the Summer of Love in 2020, we had a bunch of BLM riots all throughout the country, causing billions of dollars in damage, dozens, if not over 100 deaths, magnitude of damage, multiple scales, exponentially more than anything that happened on January 6th. We're talking about $2 billion in damage versus about $2 million in damage, and the comparisons just go off the charts from there. So we ask ourselves, was that appropriate? Was BLM and those riots that literally burnt down the 3rd Precinct Police Department in Minneapolis, and Kamala Harris was excited about that, posting that people should be released on bond, right? And she would help raise money for that. It was a wild time. But we're probably gearing up for that again. It's only March. We got a couple of months until we really need, some summer madness happening out there. And so maybe it starts in Atlanta, who knows? But P apparently wants more of that, right? Because that was making progress. So here is Robert Patillo running against Judge McAfee, explaining that the Summer of Love, all of those fiery but mostly peaceful protests, were just completely above board and something that we need, America.
And we see the same movement continuing today. These young folks that you see in the streets that you guys like to complain about, well, why are they burning cars? Why are they breaking windows? Why are they tearing stuff up? Well, what are we going to say when we look at these young revolutionaries in 50 years?
Criminals, communists.
Because we're criticized for any form of protest, any form of advancement, but it moved the ball forward. It moved that baton along the relay race. And as the older lions are giving way to the young bulls, what we're seeing is the fight continues.
The fight continues as those old guys who are a little bit more peaceful get out of here and give it over to these new young guns who are carjacking people on the streets of Washington, D.C. All right, so you see kind of where this is going, right? And that is the guy who's going to be challenging Scott McAfee, according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Now, there's some reaction to this, obviously. Fani Willis is as happy as we've ever seen her. She is as thrilled as can be. She was very concerned that Scott McAfee was going to remove her from office, disqualify her. But now that there's all this political pressure that's going to be coming down to bear upon him, she's thrilled. Why? Because Fulton County, as we see here, is very, very blue. Very blue. Here are the results from an aggregator website. You see, presidency of the United States, Trump got 26% in Fulton County. Biden got 72.6. Woo! So a lot bigger margin, okay? 72 to 26 for the blue team. And that same pattern showed up in the Senate, okay? 70% to 28% in Fulton County for John Ossoff, the Democrat senator from Georgia. So the numbers are huge. And so Fani's thrilled. Oh, perfect. Okay. This is going to be a lot of pressure on Judge McAfee to not do what needs to be done, the right thing in the court of law, forget about the court of public opinion, and remove her. But if he does, there might be some political consequences for him. He might be removed by the people of Georgia. Although he might be removed from the people of Georgia anyways, just based on the candidates, right? right? Remember, he was appointed by a Republican governor, Governor Kemp, and this guy will run as a Democrat in a 70-30, 70-20, whatever the numbers are split there in Fulton County. So Fani just got done signing the ballot. She's running again, very excited about this. Here is what she sounded like when she came out.
Talk to you real quick?
Yes.
First, let me ask you about qualifying. Tell us what it means to you.
It means everything. I didn't think it would be as exciting, but it turns out the second time is still a charm, and really excited. I've said it before, being the district attorney in Fulton County is the greatest honor of my entire life. I love this community. It's my home. It's where I raise my children. It's where I want to keep safe. I'm honored to serve. I'm honored for just the outpouring of support that I continue to get, and I am so excited to be here again today. I feel giddy.
What's your perspective on the efforts, particularly in the Georgia Senate, by Republicans to reprimand you and to scrutinize you, to investigate?
I think it's all just a political quest. I think that people are angry because I'm going to do the right thing and I'm going to stand up for justice, no matter who is the person that may have done wrong in Fulton County. And so they can continue on with their games, and I'm going to continue to do the work of the people.
If you're called before the committee, will you appear?
I will discuss that with my lawyer, and me and my lawyer will make a decision, and whatever decision he advises is the best I'll make.
Did you watch the hearing this morning?
I did not get to see all of it. I had pieces that people were watching, but no, I didn't have time to sit for 3.5 hours, I understand, and went and watch. I did not.
What's your message to the prospective challengers who might run against you on the Republican or Democratic side?
This is a democracy we live in, right? So people have a right
It's a republic.
to run for office, but they should come prepared for a fight. They should know that my heart is still in this work. My heart will continue to be in this work, and I intend to be the DA for the next 4 years and 9 months.
Judge McAfee could rule at any moment. Are you feeling confident in your defense of this motion to disqualify the case?
That's where I don't want to comment because it's commenting on an active case, and so
Ridiculous.
I won't comment. But I think we presented the law, and always hopeful that a judge will make a decision that is in line with the law.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, so you see, Fani says she's not going to comment on this stuff now, even though she commented a lot on this stuff when she was in her church twice, multiple times. Now she doesn't want to comment on it. And I don't know what they gave her, man, but she's very happy. I don't know if they pumped her full of antidepressants or whatever, or maybe she just had a real good night with Nathan last night, went over there at 4 a.m. So something's going on. She's feeling happy about it. And it might be because there's a contender against Judge McAfee, who's very likely, if you just look at the demographics, look at the voting patterns between Democrats and Republicans there, it's going to be a tough race anyways. Now you bring in this guy who's going to really, I think shine a bunch of energy on this and cause, maybe some momentum for Fani, rally around her, say these Republicans, which Fani has already said are racist and sexist, remember, multiple times. They're the ones responsible for this. They put pressure on McAfee. He doesn't make a decision, or he does make a decision, and it is something that angers a certain portion of Fulton County, and so he gets booted off the case. So we'll see what happens, but Fani, I think she has just a total sense of arrogance about her that she doesn't even realize what's been done here. There is evidence, in my opinion, well beyond a reasonable doubt that she committed a felony by lying to the court, perjury, and that there are people now inquiring into what is exactly happening. And so we have reaction on this. Megyn Kelly was out. She had a very good take on it. I think it's dead accurate. Says, this is terrible news for the Trump team in Atlanta. Judge McAfee was running unopposed. Now you get a Jesse Jackson disciple challenging him in a district that went 73% for Biden. McAfee's going to need a rock-solid spine to disqualify Fani Willis now. But you know what? Some people say he does have that rock-solid spine. And we also see some other trends, right? Georgia is leaning Trump red in 2024. Now, is that going to overcome Fulton County? I'm not so sure that it will, because that's still a very, very blue county, as we saw. So betgeorgia.com analyzed 3 current polls to develop the odds about how the state will vote this November, and it's looking pretty red over there. So maybe this, Fani support is nothing but a facade. But here is Steve Sadow, Trump's attorney. Man, he came out and he had some reaction to this, and here's what he says. He posted this. He says, in our democracy, anyone can choose to run for public office. But does anyone following the Willis and Wade Fulton County fiasco really believe it is a coincidence that this particular gentleman, Robert Patillo, has been chosen to run against Judge McAfee? You think it's a coincidence? I don't. And if choosing this particular judicial candidate is intended by the pro-Willis faction to put political pressure on the court to rule in her favor, Steve says, I truly believe they completely underestimate the character of Judge McAfee. We sure hope he's right. And he says also, I guess this shows how impartial and unbiased Mr. Patillo would be in President Trump's Fulton County case. Here's what Robert Patillo posted online. Says, y'all, these judgments got Trump so broke, he's selling Chinese bootleg uptowns. He calls them air treasons when you've got to run, right? Hilarious. So that's going to be the judge, right? That's going to be the new judge that is running against Fani. And apparently, you know, we'll see if Fulton County wants more torch cars in their county and in their state. But McAfee gets an election challenger, and it is seemingly something that might change the balance of power here, might change the whole equation. Now, my hope and my optimism is that McAfee is more interested in the court of law than the court of public opinion. And there may be some good upside to that, right? If McAfee makes the right decision but is disqualified, it may mean that he has integrity and another Republican can appoint him, or he can run again later down the line. Or maybe Trump wins the White House and appoints him to federal court. How about that? So, of course, we're going to be here continuing to cover all the Trump litigation, my friends, including the Fani saga. And so thank you for subscribing and liking this video wherever it is you're watching it. We'll see you back here on the next one.